grab their phone, scroll endlessly, chase distraction, and that's why they never win. Because victory doesn't come from excitement. It comes from repetition, from doing the same thing over and over until it's perfect. And repetition, it's boring, very boring. But here's the truth, when you feel bored, your brain is forcing you to escape. That's why your phone magically appears in your hand. It's looking for easy stimulation, but boredom isn't the problem, it's the solution. Whether it's gaming, work, dating, or even fighting. Progress only comes when you stay with the boredom long enough to grow. Your brain isn't built to run at full speed, 24/7. It needs rest, it needs focus. Generations before us had slower lives. Today, the world drowns you in distractions. Competing harder won't save you. Embracing boredom will. Your brain today isn't just busy, it's overstimulated. Every swipe, every notification, every clip. It's training your mind to chase the next hit of dopamine instead of staying with the work that actually matters. That's why repetition feels unbearable. Your brain has been rewired to demand excitement, constant novelty. But mastery doesn't live there. When everything around you is screaming for your attention, the real victory is in silence. The ability to sit still, to let your brain reset, to choose focus over noise. Because overstimulation is the enemy, and boredom is the cure. And that's why most people never break through. The moment things feel dull, their brain screams for escape, and they quit. But here's the paradox. The very things that feel boring are the things that build mastery. The gym feels boring. Studying the same chart feels boring. Grinding in a game feels boring. But here's the truth. Boredom is not your enemy. It is the doorway to mastery. Every rep, every chart, every grind. It looks boring in the moment, but stack those boring days together, and you've built greatness. There's a quote from Charles Kettering, a problem well stated is a problem half solved. And that applies here perfectly. The real problem isn't that life is boring. The problem is that your brain has been hijacked, overstimulated, rewired to avoid stillness. Once you recognize that, you're already halfway to the solution. Because now you can see boredom for what it truly is. Not a punishment, but a tool. The gym isn't just boring, it's rewiring your discipline. The chart isn't just boring, it's sharpening your patience. The grind isn't just boring, it's training your focus. And once you frame the problem the right way, you've already begun to win. Kettering's law says, a problem well stated is a problem half solved. And this is where most people miss the point. They don't take the time to actually define the real problem. They think the problem is failure. They think the problem is being bored. They think the problem is not being motivated. But the truth, the real problem is that the brain has been trained by overstimulation, by shortcuts, by constant distraction, to reject the exact process that creates mastery. And once you understand that, you've already cut the problem in half. Because now boredom is no longer an obstacle. It's a signal. It's telling you, this is where the growth starts. Think about it like this. When you go to the gym, most people quit because it feels repetitive, dull, almost mechanical. But that's exactly the point. Every rep, every set, every drop of sweat is stacking a foundation. And the boredom you feel, that's your brain rewiring discipline. When you stare at charts for hours, it feels endless. Line after line, candle after candle. But what's really happening is patience being forged, a skill most people never develop. When you grind in a game, fight the same battles, practice the same movement, it looks boring. But over time, you realize you've built instincts, reflexes, and awareness that others simply don't have. The boredom is not wasted time. It's proof that you're doing the thing others won't stick with long enough to master. And this is the essence of Kettering's law. Once you see boredom not as the enemy, but as the gateway to mastery, you've already solved half the battle. You've reframed the problem. Now every boring rep, every dull grind, every quiet hour staring at charts becomes progress. Everyone else is still running from the feeling, but you've named it, you've understood it, and that means you've already won half the fight. And here's the final piece most people forget. Success isn't just about embracing boredom or avoiding overstimulation. It's also about breaking the journey into milestones. Why? Because the brain loves to see progress. Without milestones, the path feels endless, and that's where most people burn out. Take my own example. When I trade, I don't just set a massive goal and hope for the best. I build it step by step. First milestone, 500 euros. Next milestone, 1,000 euros. Then 1,500 euros. And finally 2,000 euros. On a side note, by the way, you can easily achieve this in 6 to 12 months by starting with the milestones of your current hustle or sub-hustle. Pick a starting target like 50 euros, then make the second milestone 100 euros, then the third 150 euros, and of course the last one 200 euros. It may not sound like much at the moment, but genuinely go for it. You may not make it every time, but at least you will strive to get there. Each step is its own victory. Each milestone is proof that the boring repetition, the hours of focus, the discipline in the face of distraction, they all stack up into something real. And here's the magic. When you celebrate those milestones, your brain learns to love the grind. The process stops being endless. It becomes a climb with real checkpoints that remind you how far you've already come. So remember this: boredom is the doorway, overstimulation is